Beacons are one of the hardest items to get in Minecraft, and it usually takes players hundreds of Minecraft days to even think about getting a beacon or feel ready to do it. But in this challenge, my friend and I decided we're going to try and get a full tier beacon, all 4 levels, as fast as we can after starting a Minecraft world from scratch. That means we have to find another fortress, beat the Wither, and collect 164 blocks of iron, gold, emerald, diamond, or netherite. We have set our time limit to 30 Minecraft days. Can we do it? You'll just have to wait and find out. Our first spawn was in a spruce biome, which actually is pretty good, because it was easy to gather wood, get some stone, and get some fancy new advancements. But that only took like 3 minutes, and what I really wanted was a plains biome, so I could get a village and some food. A village? That obviously didn't take too long, so I went ahead and grabbed some food on the way over. I spent the rest of that day looting the village, and then I met up with my friend the next morning. He managed to get us 6 diamonds and plenty of blocks, which is great because I could start the first step of our plan. I placed the first few blocks of an iron farm and felt really great about the time we were making. We needed a whole bunch of iron to use them as blocks for a beacon later, and we figured the sooner we start, the better off we'll be. With the outline done, I needed to get the villagers in. And to do that, I just used a floating bridge and some boats. Then, I needed a zombie that was holding something so it didn't despawn. This took a few attempts, but with some trial and error and a quick Google search, I learned that only some zombies can pick up items. But once I had them in place, I could finally put the finishing touches on the farm, which was just a quick lava bucket and hopper. We then felt ready to take ourselves to the Nether. Using the diamonds that my friend had found earlier, we mined the obsidian and placed the portal. After going through it, we found ourselves with a pretty good spawn. I mean, it could be worse, like over a lava lake or something. As we searched for another fortress so we could take down some wither skeletons, we soon realized we had nowhere near enough food to get us through. I turned back and went to kill some more animals to cook up some more meat. My friend, however, had a little bit more food and decided to keep searching for another fortress. Our timing seemed to match up perfectly, as my friend was able to find a fortress only a few minutes after I had collected all the food. But he also managed to die. This was all fine. It gave us a chance to enchant a couple of the stuff we had with the levels we'd gained. With our new hope and our new shiny armor, we took ourselves into the Nether and across a lava lake that my friend claimed he was speed bridging across. And being the Bed War sweat that he is, I believed him. Once we made our way to the fortress, we were met with our first problem: getting in. And while that may sound weird to you, we were secluded to a 1-block area over high peaks and a lava lake. As we approached, there seemed to be an abundance of mobs that spawned, and if you know anything about blazes, you want a little bit more space than 1 block to fight them. Taking them out from a distance was also not an option, because we didn't have any bows. This, unfortunately, was able to get the best of us as we were disorganized and unprepared. However, we kept persevering and trying, but it just wasn't good enough. Every time we died, we lost a little bit more of something, and as our food supply diminished, we decided we needed a new plan. Unfortunately, this was also around the time where my friend had to go for a little bit. Stupid friend's having a life, am I right? So that left just me to infiltrate the fortress and grind to get some wither skeleton skulls. I decided before I went back into the Nether, I needed new armor, some more food, and some new tools. I went on a quick mining session to get all the materials I needed, and then I crafted up some golden apples and felt prepared. I had also found a couple diamonds while mining, but I decided to leave those for later. With all my new stuff, I was very confident I could go into the Nether fortress and kill all the wither skeletons. I made my way back across the precarious Nether bridges and was in the fortress with no sweat. This was a good sign for me because entering had given us trouble earlier. I was doing really well not dying to the wither skeletons and was able to wander around the fortress a little bit more. I found out that the fortress was absolutely massive, which was a great sign for finding the most wither skeletons I could. However, after a little bit, I started running into the issue of food. The first time I ran out, I went all the way back to the village in the overworld and found some more there. The trip back and forth was just a little bit too inconvenient for me, so I needed to find a new way of getting food all the time. Fortunately enough, the fortress was right next to a crimson forest biome. That means I could go and kill the hoglins to get some cooked pork chops with my flint and steel. This was a big win for me because I knew it was going to be way too hard to constantly be going back and forth from the village and the fortress. But this big win for me also showed a formidable problem. After going into the Crimson Forest biome, I was getting killed by hoglins, and then going back, I was also getting killed by wither skeletons. Eventually, I was able to regain my bearings and was okay for a little while. But getting overwhelmed in another fortress is the exact opposite of what you want. And I found myself losing some stuff, losing my armor because of durability, and dying constantly. Fortunately enough for me, the more time I spent in the fortress, the more spaced out my deaths became, and I was able to spend large chunks of time killing wither skeletons, trying to find my first wither skeleton skull. The time it took before I found my first skull seemed to be hours, which is horrible because that's so many Minecraft days. I think the biggest factor contributing to that was the time it took for wither skeletons to spawn. I was finding so few wither skeletons at some points, it felt like so many minutes were going by as I was running through the nether fortress just trying and begging for a wither skeleton to spawn. After many hours of this seemingly endless suffering, I finally found it. This filled me with so much happiness and motivated me to continue going to find the next two. At this point, I knew the odds were in my favor. Every wither skeleton I kill, there's a 2.5% chance it's going to drop a wither skeleton skull. I had killed so many, I knew I was bound to get the second one much faster than I got the first. And after dying a few more times and farming some more hoglins for food, my theory was finally proved correct. I got my second skull and everything else was smooth sailing from there. Well, kind of. At the very end, I still died once, and I was resorting to using the stone swords from the skeletons. But it was all good, because as soon as I got that third skeleton skull, I was running straight back. At this point, I only had 2 parts of the challenge left: getting blocks and beating the wither. Because I was still waiting for my friend to be able to get back online, I decided I'd start tackling the getting blocks part. At that moment, the best way I could think of was AFKing at the iron farm I had built earlier. As I AFK'd, I made constant checkups on the farm and made sure it was working properly. There were a few times I had to fix a couple things, but everything seemed to be working really well. This, however, comes with a but. The farm wasn't producing iron ingots at the pace I needed it to. I only realized this major flaw after I had already wasted a few days of valuable time. In a panicked scramble, with only 4 days left in this challenge, I got my friend online and we determined I needed to put my alt AFK while we went mining. With our main focus on finding an abundance of iron, we were also looking for other precious ores we could use as blocks. Somehow, we both had an incredible streak of luck of finding diamonds back to back to back. To add to that luck, 2 of the veins we found had 9 diamonds in them. 9 diamonds. Let me show you the clip.
Nice, how many?
I'm not sure, because it's over a lava lake.
If it's an 8 vein, I'm gonna lose it.
I don't think it's an 8 vein, because it's a little bit extraneous in its shape. But, oh my god, it's a 9 vein. What?
What?
I just got a 9 vein.
What has been our luck, dude? I never get like a bunch of diamond veins. I have found a 6 vein, an 8 vein, and you just found a 9 vein.
I
Excuse
didn't
me?
even know 9 veins were possible. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I didn't.
But I swear,
Oh
I have it on recording.
no.
I just found a 9
No
vein.
way. I also just found diamonds. And it's another 8 vein.
Bro, we're gonna
9
finish.
vein. What is
It's
this?
what?
And it's in a ravine.
I just found diamonds again. What?
What is happening?
Dude, there's no way.
Actually, 0 possibility. What is this?
Despite our luck, we still had some big tasks at hand. As day 30 approached, and it was approaching fast, I went back up to the surface and started smelting all the raw iron and raw gold I had. We were turning everything we had into blocks and trying to figure out how many more precious ores we were going to need. While we were doing this, I looked at the time and saw we were way too close to the end. I needed to start fighting the wither right now, or else we were going to fail. So, using a method I had tested in a single-player world, I took the wither down to the bottom of the world, dug it out a little area, and then used a strip mine we had created earlier to try and fight it. To show you this in a single-player world, when the wither spawns, it rises up, allowing me to only see its tail. I get free hits on it and only take occasional damage. I have to back up sometimes, but that's only when the heads decide to shoot. So after spawning it on the regular world, I waited for it to explode and be active. Things, unfortunately, did not go to plan. The wither was behaving differently compared to my single-player worlds. It wasn't rising up after it spawned, so I could see all of its heads and it could see me. This led to things getting horribly out of control, and I ended up losing things and dying multiple times. I still had some amount of hope though. My friend was able to come down and try to get it at a different angle, while I distracted it. Unfortunately, the wither was just able to outsmart us and killed my friend as well as me one more time. At that point, all of our items were gone and there was nothing we could do. Day 30 had already come around and we didn't have enough blocks and we had a wither on the loose. And we ended up having to call the challenge where it was. I was super disappointed and frustrated that we didn't complete it, but I had to remind myself this was called a challenge for a reason and it was all in good fun. In hindsight, there were definitely a few things we could have done better that were in our control. Food was something we had a problem with the entire time, and we could have been actively trying to get more of it throughout the entire challenge. Also, we should have kept the iron farm running the entire time we were on the world. We got it done early, so it would always be working, but we spent so much time in the nether, it barely got any use. So whether that was having someone in the overworld the entire time, or setting my alt AFK, I'm not sure. But we could have definitely avoided our problems with getting enough blocks. Our luck with wither skeletons was also not ideal. Sure, we died a few times and probably could have played that better, but when it came down to it, I killed so many wither skeletons and got so few drops. However, when it came to everything else that was up to chance, I was really pleased with what we got. And finally, when it came to trying to beat the wither, there were probably a couple of things that we could have done. I could have done a little bit more testing in my single player worlds on how to beat it underground. Or, while one of us was grinding for the wither skeleton skulls, the other person could be going to the ends, beating the dragon, and getting us a spot underneath the end portal. That way, we could use the trick to beat it without taking any damage at all. Anyway, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out my other content, do whatever you want, and I'll catch you next time.